So how is their strategy going with respect to the transition to EVs? I mean, as you say, they've got a lot of stuff out there, but hardly any of it's for sale. Most of their business is still in the traditional ICE market. So how are they doing that, and can they compete?
Yeah, I mean, we're also looking at GM now. Remember, it's predominantly North Americans. You don't really have to have as much EV penetration, let's say, as a Volkswagen, for example, with a lot of Europe exposure. So it is slow going, but it's intentional. But you do have a series of new launches coming up. You know, it's been mostly the Chevy Bolt doing the heavy lifting. Now you're going to have the Silverado, you're going to have Equinox, you have the Hummer, Lyriq, Blazer, like a lot of high profile EVs are going to start hitting the market. A lot of them are on the premium side. So I think very soon in the next 6 to 12 months, a lot of new EVs are going to be on the road for GM. It's going to, I believe, actually change their entire brand image. So far, you've only really had one. So I think it's an issue of just timing. Stay tuned. You're going to see a lot of GM EVs on the road.
How much of an impact will China entering into the US market in a big way have on the likes of a GM and a Ford?
Yeah, I think China entering markets is probably more of a concern for European OEMs. I think in the U.S. it's a very specific customer that's buying an EV. You're buying an EV in the U.S. because you want it, not because you have to have it. If you look at the Chinese EVs, they're more kind of in the mass market side. I think they're more going to compete with the Toyotas and the Hondas per se, which is more of a threat in Europe because where they have to buy an EV, right, for CO2 compliance. In the U.S., it's more about performance. Tesla is king in the U.S. And remember, there's a lot of pickup trucks, a lot of SUVs. It's not really where the Chinese EVs are. So I actually think, like in the U.S., it's going to be less competitive, where the Chinese EVs are going to make less of an impact. So not as concerned for a GM or a Ford as I am for, let's say, a Volkswagen, because they're more in Europe.